UNESCO, 2.5 million engineers are needed in order to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 6 in sub-Saharan Africa. That is sustainable development. Number 6 is all about having access to clean water and sanitation. That's a big problem. Having access to clean water and sanitation affects health. It affects productivity. It exposes women and girls especially to sexual harassment and violence. At present, we have 28% of women pursuing STEM careers, while you have 72% of men. But there are 50% of women in the workforce. My name is Winifred Ereyi. I am the CEO and founder of Think STEM Foundation. Our mission is to inspire and empower minority females to pursue STEM careers by connecting them to a supportive community and accessible resources so that they can break free from the barriers to STEM. Our vision is to build a pipeline of women in STEM that will impact society, contribute to innovation, and be part of the economic workforce. We provide coaching, advocacy, leadership training, mentoring, SAT preparation. We provide letters of recommendation. We work with Title I X schools. These are schools in underserved neighborhoods. And we're looking for kids, students, females especially, that have the intellectual capacity to pursue STEM careers, but they are part of a first-generation low-income ecosystem. And our goal is to put our arms around them and make sure that they have access to tertiary education. Pursuing a STEM career over just a 4-year STEM education, going to college to pursue STEM over 4 years, has the potential of putting these females within the 6 income brackets and changing the whole socio-economic of their communities. And we have a lot of reports that proves the fact that this opens the door to breaking generations from poverty. So this is very important. We have been doing outreaches in Africa since 2017. And we've been collaborating with organizations who are on the ground, who are in the schools, doing the same thing. And we have so many reports of how it is changing the face of girls in STEM. So there are barriers to having girls in STEM. There are barriers to having young women go back to school to pursue STEM. What are these barriers? When I was 14 years old, the first female engineer of Nigeria came to my school. Prior to that career fair, I was very confused about what I would study. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I couldn't stand blood. I didn't want to spend my life counting money, so I couldn't be an accountant. So I'd never seen anything else. I didn't want to be a nurse. I didn't want to be in the medical profession, in the accounting profession. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I didn't want to be a lawyer. My father was a lawyer, and I didn't want to spend all my time talking. Just talking at home was enough. But I was really confused, and I was a precocious child. You know, those sort of children that are always answering the questions and everybody dislikes, but the teachers loved. That was me. Until the first engineer of Nigeria came to my school. It was a light bulb moment, an aha moment. Mrs. Olumaduka. She was wearing high heels and red lipstick. That's over 4 decades ago. And she began to talk about her career as a female engineer, an electrical engineer. I thought engineers were males. I was really surprised. I'd never seen one, especially none in high heels with lipstick. And she opened my eye. I remember leaving that hall and going to my friends and saying, we are all going to be engineers. One important thing she told us was that engineers solve problems. They solve complex problems. They use science and mathematics to solve complex problems. And the world that I lived in had a lot of complex problems. And I love science and maths. So she made my classroom subjects come alive. And that sets the direction for my life. You know, that is really important when you are looking at the barriers to girls pursuing STEM careers. You need role models. You need women who are engineers who will go into the schools to tell their own stories, to talk about the impact they are making in communities, in society. So that's why we do a lot of outreach as part of our advocacy. We go to schools. Storytelling is so important. People can connect with the stories. We call it the 3H principle, connecting your head and your hands so that you can connect your heart to the content. And then after telling stories, we go back to the schools and we do projects. Because once the students can do projects and see what they're able to do, all of a sudden what you are doing is you are sparking their curiosity in pursuing STEM careers. So role models are very important and stories are very important. You also need parents. I remember when I told my father I wanted to be an engineer, and he told me that there were very few female engineers, but he believed in my ability. And you know what he did? When he went on a trip to England, he came home with an Amstrad computer and an Atari robot. I'm lucky to be one of those children who came from a privileged background. And he told me, you ask so many questions. This computer and Atari robot is going to keep you occupied, so you won't ask me any more questions until you leave my home. And that really set me on the path of really integrating computer science into my engineering academic career. And I remember when I was in school, when I was in university, I was told that no woman had ever graduated summa cum laude. But my father told me that I could be, and so did my professors. So there's a need for role models. There's a need for allies. There's a need for parents that believe in the abilities of their children, especially the girl child, and especially if it's a father. My father made me believe in myself, and so did Professor James Katende, my first professor. And I finished summa cum laude. But I did not finish just for myself to get summa cum laude. I wanted to open the door for other females. I was the first female to shatter the glass ceiling. And I shattered it, but I opened the door for other girls to pursue STEM careers, electrical engineering, especially because of the power issues we have in Africa, energy poverty in Africa. And they have finished, so many of them, they finished summa cum laude. And when they meet me, they're like, so you are the Winifred Ereyi. So I had that vision, not just for myself, but for other girls. So having role models is so important. And doing outreach. Mrs. Olumaduka came to my school, and that is outreach. But the outreach has to be effective. Storytelling is just the beginning of the journey. You have to go back and you have to do projects. Project-based learning is especially important. Girls have to connect with the subject that is being shared. And that happens when they come together in teams and build things together. Research has shown that that is how girls learn. I've traveled my life with my sister tribe. So really getting girls into little hubs and getting them to do projects and to solve complicated problems is how you do outreach. So outreach is very important. You also need allies. We need males, people that will talk about your ability behind closed doors, sponsors that will talk about your ability to open doors. That those things are very, very important. And then you need a STEM curriculum. There is a lot of mindset shift that has to happen once we can get the population skilled and that population can get employment and be entrepreneurs. Those things will address the peace and conflict that is in Africa. That is how STEM education is an enabler for peace. Thank you so much for listening to me today.